Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena here. You're watching our video comparison between the Apple iPhone 6 and the Motorola Moto X 2014 edition. These two phones were released relatively close to one another, though the Moto X slightly longer ago than the iPhone 6. Nevertheless though, they're both flagship devices. A lot of premium qualities about these two, so we're going to pit them up, find out how they compare against one another, and ultimately kind of help you out, find out exactly which device you should go with. The more we stare at them, the harder it gets for us to say which design we like more. Now, with the iPhone 6, it really stands out for being the thinner, lighter device between the two. On top of it, it has that premium quality thanks to its all-metal construction, so it gives it a very solid feel. But the Moto X is equally as solid thanks in part to its aluminum frame that wraps around the body, gives it strength, but mostly plastic. And the nice thing about it is that it has that personalized design where you could customize the rear casing, what kind of finish you want, the front, and even the accent colors to give it a very unique look that's not really typical of other handsets. Looking at their displays, they are different sizes, different resolutions. With the iPhone 6, it has a 4.7-inch 750 by 1334 Retina display, which is based on IPS LCD technology, while the Moto X has a larger 5.2-inch 1080p AMOLED panel. So with that, it definitely gives it the sharper look. So when you're looking at it very closely, we do notice that fine details are more distinctive. But aside from that, from a normal distance, it's really tough to tell. With the IPS LCD panel of the iPhone 6, it's actually superior when it comes to outdoor visibility. We could still make out the screen. It doesn't wash out like the Moto X just because of its stronger brightness output. Though the Moto X has these, has pretty good viewing angles just like the iPhone 6. But as far as color reproduction, again, the iPhone 6 has it. It's just more accurate in doing that. It's kind of delightful that both platform experiences take pride in simplicity, especially with the Moto X, because you think about Android tends to be a little bit on the complex side with its software set, but with the stock experience here with the Moto X and the enhancements Motorola has done, in particular things like the Moto Display, Moto Voice, and Moto Actions, they're actually software features that are very useful and handy, and they're not overbearing. While the iPhone 6 and its iOS 8 experience, it's also simple, intuitive. It's not as complex, but it still has some nice elements to it, and they've kind of made some additional enhancements with this latest version. So the two are pretty good and similar in many ways. They're both really responsive with their performances, so they exhibit high quality attributes. So for basic things, you're not going to notice a whole lot, the same amount of responsiveness. The iPhone 6 is powered by Apple's dual-core 1.4 GHz Apple A8 chip with 1 GB of RAM. That's based on 64-bit architecture. Now, if you look at the numbers and the dual-core aspect of it, it might not seem as intensive compared to the Moto X's quad-core 2.5 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 chipset with 2 GB of RAM. But Apple's offering is equally on par, if not better in some aspects, like 3D gaming. We do notice a snappier look with it, but at the end of the day, both are excel in this area. We really can't complain about their web browsing performance either, just because they both are available with 4G LTE connectivity, so pages load up very quickly, and of course their responsiveness are top-notch, very smooth to kinetic scrolling and even pinch zooming. They also feature the same set of connectivity features. They include assisted GPS, Bluetooth, dual-band Wi-Fi, and NFC. Similarly, they have very simple camera apps. It's all about taking photos, and they're very snappy. They don't try and inundate us with a ton of different shooting modes and whatnot. There are a few, such as panoramic and even an HDR mode, but that's pretty much the extent of what they have to offer. Likewise, they're pretty light when it comes to manual controls. As for their cameras, the iPhone 6 features an 8-megapixel iSight camera with an f2.2 aperture lens, a True Tone dual LED flash, and up to 1080p video recording, while the Moto X packs along a 13 megapixel autofocus camera with a dual LED ring flash, an f2.2 aperture lens, and has up to 4K video recording. So which phone takes the nod when it comes to still images? Well, we're kind of favoring the iPhone 6. The overall results are better than the Moto X. Not to say the Moto X is bad, it's good, it looks sharp, but it can't match the overall quality of the iPhone 6. In particular, lower lighting conditions. The iPhone 6 is less noisy, and on top of that, its shots are brighter, so more details are drawn out, whereas with the Moto X, they look a little bit more underexposed. We also like the iPhone 6's video recording quality. Now, again, there's 4K video recording with the Moto X, so that's an advantage in itself, but when we look at the qualities from the 1080p samples, we still like the iPhone 6 better. Just sharper, detailed, and its continuous autofocus feature and also its digital image stabilization makes everything look a lot smoother, so we'd stick to it more so than the Moto X. There's not one music player that we like over the other, just because they almost have similar layouts and functionalities. Now, they both produce pretty strong and robust audio with their respective speakers. The Moto X speaker, though, is a smidgen louder at 75 decibels versus the iPhone 6, which is only at 74.5. We can't complain about the video watching experience on both devices just because you have pretty spacious sized screens. They're really detailed. The Moto X has the AMOLED display, so it has the punchier color. So if you're watching some animated show or animated movie, it tends to give it a little bit more vibrancy than the iPhone 6. It's also a tie with call quality. Both devices deliver an excellent experience. Voices on both ends of the line are pretty robust, clear, and noise-free for the most part. And best of all, you could even use them in noisy environments with no issues. Compared to the other currently available flagship smartphones, these two aren't necessarily long-lasting with their battery life. In fact, they're nothing more than average, but in our benchmark tests, the Moto X has a slight advantage. It manages to top out at 5 hours 45 minutes from a full charge, while the iPhone 6's battery tops out at 5 hours 22 minutes in our test. It's seriously a tough call on which device you should go with because it depends on a lot of things. So first of all, let's start with the Moto X. The Moto X has a really cool thing with its design. If you want to be able to customize it, this is a device that's meant for you. On top of that, it's not all that heavy with its software experiences. Just like the iPhone 6 and iOS 8, it's all about simplicity, and it focuses on a few specific Android features that really stand apart from the others out there. And finally, its price point, $100 for the tier contract. That's half the price of the iPhone 6. And then there's the iPhone 6. It has that premium quality because it's made up entirely out of metal versus the mostly plastic construction of the Moto X. On top of that, it's a well-rounded performer. It takes great looking photos and videos, super snappy with its performance. And on top of that, iOS 8 is pretty simple and intuitive, but it is $200 to your contract. So if you're about saving money, you might want to think about the Moto X. If not, this is a good choice for you. So if you guys want to learn more about either device, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.